Okay, everyone, we are a little behind time. We had a few technical difficulties, so hopefully we got this stuff worked out. So my apologies to everybody, everyone, for having to go back and restart, but just trying to get this stuff fixed up. You know, we're dependent on technology here. Most of you know I simulcast the Church Express, so it happens right there on YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live, and there's a couple different cameras. And so what happens is, sometimes the Wi-Fi is working on one and not the other, so it's kind of a weird thing. But maybe over time, as I become a lot more technically savvy, um, and maybe get some better equipment, things will get better. But at any rate, it is now 10:13, so we're gonna go ahead and get lifted, get right into the word, right into some inspiration for the week for you guys. I want to give folks a few minutes sort of to jump on. So if you guys wouldn't mind sharing the post to get other folks to jump on with us to join us, and hopefully people don't think I forgot about them and just decided not to do it this Sunday. But again, you can always find Kirk Smith Unlimited on YouTube, YouTube channel Kirk Smith Unlimited and Associates. You can also visit the website at ksmithunlimited.com. And of course, here on Facebook, Kirk Smith Unlimited and Associates. Follow our page. And so we're going to start to post a lot more. Haven't been posting that much lately in terms of like short videos and snippets and that type of thing and inspirational thoughts. But you're going to start seeing that start to build back up here momentarily. But at any rate, guys, let's get lifted. Let's get lifted. So what I want to talk to you about today is basically what I call a dark mission. It's a dark mission. And again, as I mentioned before, guys, I got sporting the hat today, though, Buckeyes hat today. Trying to cover up because I'm letting my hair grow back out, so I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. But at any rate, so that's what the hat is all about. But at any rate, the enemy has a pretty clear mission, and it's a dark mission. When I say the enemy, I'm talking about Satan, I'm talking about the devil, I'm talking about our adversary. And he has a pretty clear mission. His mission, his goal, his task is to steal, kill, and destroy. His goal is to take us out, to destroy us, to ruin our lives, to make peace impossible, and to create all kinds of obstacles and distractions, to destroy us and to hold us down and to keep us from ever achieving the things that God has called us to do. And I can tell you right now, the devil has no interest in my success or your success, my peace, your peace, my happiness, your happiness, my sustainability, your sustainability. He has no interest. And he has no particular love for any one group above another. Obviously, he has a huge problem with believers, people who believe in Jesus Christ, people who are committed to walking with God. He has an issue with that, obviously, and he would want nothing more than to see us fail at that, because he considers us to be a real threat, as he should. But the reality is that he wants to break us down and destroy us. And again, his plan is to steal, kill, and destroy any chance we have of achieving peace. He wants to surround us with chaos, problems, wrong thoughts, problematic people, wrong environments, whatever it takes to distract us and to keep us from achieving peace and success in this life. He'll do whatever it takes, even if it means making us feel successful momentarily by false or ill-gotten means. He'll find a way to make us think we're doing okay when the reality is that we're really not. But here's one of the greatest weapons that he uses. One of his greatest weapons he uses, top weapons that he uses against us, is lies. That's right, folks. The enemy uses dishonesty, lies, rumors. He dispatches liars to hurt us and to trick us and to make us think one thing when something else is happening. People smile in your face, but all the while they're plotting evil against you. That's what he does. And people unwittingly follow, obey, and execute the enemy's plan. So people now are actually following the devil, following Satan, following the enemy. They're not Satan worshipers. I'm not saying that. But they're unwittingly following him, obeying his every command and executing his plans. And don't even realize that they're being used by him to wreak havoc and to hurt others and to bring about pain and frustration in the lives of other people. That's exactly what he's doing. But unwittingly, people follow him. And again, what the enemy likes to use are lies. He likes to use falsehoods, half-truths, distorted truths, right? That's what he likes to use. Again, his goal is to steal, kill, and destroy. So I'll talk about my life a little bit. So for the first 20 plus years of my life, let's say 21 to 22 years of my life, I was made to believe, and this is by my family. And so you know, guys, that some of our greatest pain, some of the most significant attacks we've ever suffered, some of the greatest frustration we've ever experienced happened by way of our family, right or wrong. Somebody tell me if I'm right or wrong. Who does you worse than family? Who does you worse than the people who supposedly, allegedly cares for you, loves you unconditionally? That's what they say, right? Okay. And you do stuff to people and you don't realize the lasting impact it has on them. And it's funny how people can hurt you, right? Anytime they want. They can do whatever they want to you whenever they want to do it to you. Do stuff behind your back, you catch them. Set you up, you catch them. Hurt you, whatever. They do that whenever they want. But then they turn around and they want to dictate or control when you're supposed to get over what they did to you. So they decide when you're supposed to get better. So they decide when they want to hurt you and what they want to do to you. And then they decide when you're supposed to get better. And if you don't get better by the time they think you should get better, then they get upset with you as if you did something wrong. It's crazy. So people don't know what they do to you, right? I guess that's the benefit of being the victimizer over the victim, because I guess the victimizer has that luxury, I guess. But at any rate, I digress. So for the first 21, 22 years of my life, I was made to believe this is a story I was told, straight up. And I have no problem sharing this, by the way. None. At all. So I was told my father died in a train accident, that he was in a car or something and he got hit by a train. That's what I was told for the first 20, 22 years of my life. Now, I'd already left home at this time, where I was in the military. So when I started doing a little bit of digging and asking questions, this is what I was told. I found out that that wasn't true. So instead of jumping to conclusions and making assumptions, now I grew up not having any idea, with no relationship with my father, obviously, right? I'm thinking he dead. No pictures of him anywhere, by the way. Not a single photo. Nor was there a single baby picture. Like, I've never seen a baby picture of myself. The youngest picture I've ever seen of myself, I think I was 3 or 4 years old. That's it. So somehow my baby pictures, they all disappeared, burned up in the fire. We did have a fire in one of the rooms in our house when we were growing up. So all the pictures were, and not a single picture of my father, no evidence whatsoever, none, right? So when I got a little older, I started asking more questions. So then when I found out, discovered that story about my father dying in the train accident wasn't true, I started calling family members and asking them, and no one seemed to be able to give me the real scoop, right? And listen, the way my family is set up, I have sisters old enough to be my mother, okay? So from what I understand, I was born, my mother was 40. And it's 8 kids, and so I was the second to the youngest, so the seventh of the 8 kids. Okay, so we're talking about folks that were teenagers and adults, right? When I was coming up. So at any rate, I called my mother, my late mother. I said, Mom, talk to me, because my mom, we used to talk every Sunday. And I said, Mom, talk to me. What happened? She said, well, I'll never tell you the truth and it's going to die with me. And this certainly did. She passed away when I was 34, somewhere in that range. Yeah, and she passed away. So the truth certainly did die with her. She was right, it did. So now what you do, so I started looking at my birth certificate and everything else and started looking, and it was white out on my birth certificate. Now, so everything was made up. My father's name, my surname, all that stuff was made up. And then no one seemed to have the information but these bits and pieces. And so I found it difficult through the years that, again, I want to tell you how the enemy works. Through the years, I found it interesting that nobody had any information. No one could tell. I mean, no one ever knew the truth. So I grew up with this lie. I even went to one of my siblings and I said, well, do you remember Mom ever being pregnant with me? And this person was a teenager when I was born. And they said, I don't even remember. I didn't even know. Didn't know Mama was pregnant. So, because I didn't pay attention. And what kind of sense would that make? So I started questioning a lot of things. And not to get into the whole story. Look, if you want to call me, we can talk offline. But here's my point. The plan was, like what I understood, that there was a nefarious occasion by which I was born, right? It wasn't the best of occasions. Let's say it wasn't the most illustrious thing that happened. Something bad happened. So whether it was adultery from one person side of the family to the next, whether it was whatever it was, a mistake, a secret that people wanted to hear. And I understood too. Now I did get some information. I was told that for the first few months of my life, I didn't even live at home. I lived at my so-called godparents' home. And that some of my siblings would skip school to come over to change my diaper and feed me. So I wasn't even around my family for the first 3 or 4 months of my life. This is what I was told. So that detachment happened right there at the beginning. Because again, something not normal. Well, maybe it was normal for the time, but something bad happened. But no one seems to tell me the whole story. So they lie. So here's the intention of the enemy, is what I'm getting to. So the intention was how this illegitimate child, whatever that means. It wasn't love that brought me into this world. It wasn't like two people in love and they went out this beautiful little boy. No. Plus I was premature, right? So I had a bunch of issues coming up as a kid. Some of y'all know. Elementary school, I was a funny looking kid. My body matured slowly. I had rotten teeth. Some of y'all remember me at Burton. And really my only friend, and I know he's on Facebook somewhere, and if y'all know him, share this with him. But I remember early in the beginning of school, my first friend and the one that stuck with me from the very beginning, even when I was a funny looking child, was Leroy Moore. Leroy knows who he is. And Leroy was my guy. From day one, this guy, man, had my back. He used to look out for me. That was my guy. We ran together in the ghetto. We used to jump out of windows on the mattresses. And that was my guy. Leroy, I love you, man. I'll never forget you. He knows that. Leroy knows. That was me and Leroy, man. We was thick. And we couldn't be separated. And I love him for that. And he was always my guy. But at any rate, so y'all remember the stuff getting into fights and bullied on and chased home. Y'all remember all that stuff. So now I'm just this depressed childhood, wanted to kill myself at 8. So then what happened was, we had a crazy, our home situation was just whatever. But anyway, so I grew up with these lies. So now as I become a more mature adult, I'm asking questions because I have 3 sons of my own at this point. So I want to be able to give them. So basically what was decided was that they're going to rob me from an entire side of my family. That they took a whole side of my family. So whoever my father is, I don't even know where he's from. I don't even know his name. Don't even know what he looks like. But so no man has ever called me son. Did you know that? I've never had a man look me in the eye, my father. And I don't know what it's like to be called son by my father. So if you ever heard your father call you son, your real father, man, celebrate that. Because some of us out here don't. I don't even know what that sounds like. Don't even know what it feels like. And I'm almost 50 and it's still a void in my heart. But anyway, so I grew up like this, and so apparently I was a mistake. So they didn't mean for me to happen, but I happened nonetheless. They didn't mean for me to happen. So I was a mistake. For all intents and purposes, I was a mistake. My birth certificate was a mistake. You had whiteout on it. You had made up fathers' names. It was ridiculous. Everything about me was just made up. I think they named me after one of my brother's friends. Just random. Right? Just call him Kirk. We would call Kirk, how about that? So it's none of that, folks. And people felt, for whatever reason, to lie and causes deception. And again, I don't think I'm the only one. Other people have the same mission. Don't get me wrong. But the whole intent was, we're going to destroy him. We're going to start from the beginning of the enemy. From the beginning of his life, we're going to destroy him, take him out, discredit him, and we're going to make sure he doesn't matter. We're going to make up his name, make up his father's name, tell him a lie. Nobody knows your mother's pregnant with you. So now you start questioning, am I even related to these people that say they're my siblings? I'm not even sure if that's the case because I don't have any information. There's no names to connect anything. Who am I? Where did I come from? So you start asking these questions, right? So the enemy's confusing the whole thing. So now I went through a period, man, where it hurt me bad, man. Like, I mean, I was messed up, folks. Devastated by this. So I mean, who the heck am I? So I start looking around like, God, why am I here? What, Kirk Smith? What is that? 2 single-syllable words? What is that? What does that mean? But then what happened, because again, people unwittingly, now I'm not saying people intentionally, but people unwittingly, they follow God and they follow the devil and they do what the devil tells them to do. And it starts with lying because of listen, the devil is the creator of lies. He's the father of lies. He is, listen, his DNA, the substance of who he is made up of lies. He is a liar from head to toe. Lies, period. There's no truth that comes out of his mouth. So the lie was, Kirk's nobody, man. He's a mistake. So we know the enemy's main objective is to prevent and destroy us from having healthy relationships with ourselves, with other people, and most of all with God. He don't want us to be intimate with God. So what happened, I started to get intimate with God. So I started asking God questions. And I stopped asking people and stopped depending on so-called family. And if you look at my family, for those of you, some of you, I might have family members on here now, look at our family and look what a mess it is. Everybody mad at each other. People hate each other. They don't talk, don't look up, don't come together, don't want to do with each other, nothing to do with each other. It's horrible. You know, cousins hate cousins and uncles hate. It's horrible. The family is a mess. And you think about it, well, who did this? So when you go way back, this was started years ago. So now the trauma echoes and the generational curses that was initiated way back when is still impacting us now. We're not close. I mean, you grew up in a household and 3 or 4 different last names. And no real explanation as to why. So Kirk was a mistake. But what they didn't realize is that God had a different plan. See, this is the problem with the enemy. See, this is one of his mistakes. See, he thinks he knows things. And he does things he thinks he knows. But the devil knows very little, folks. He knows very little about me, very little about you. He thinks he knows it all, but he doesn't. And all the devil can do is see red. And you know what seeing red is, right? When you get so angry and so frustrated and you want to see people suffer so bad, all you can see is their pain and their hurt. But you miss things, you miss steps, you have blind spots and you make mistakes because you don't see it all. See, that's how people are when they hate other people and they're jealous and envious and want to take other people down. And all they can do is see red, but what they don't realize is that the holes that they're digging is a hole that they're digging for themselves. The grave that they're digging for you, they're digging it for themselves. The rope that they're trying to tie to put around your neck is for their neck. The weapons they are manufacturing against you are actually weapons for them to have self-inflicted wounds, because no weapon formed against me or against you shall prosper. But they don't recognize that. All they can do is see red, and the outcome and their anger and frustration and hatred and envy, and can't see anything but your pain. But they don't recognize that they're setting their own selves up. The enemy is the same way. So his intent was destroy Kirk from day one. His birth was a lie. His conception was a lie. His life, his childhood was a lie. In fact, he was born too early. He should have died being born so early. I remember being at the dentist, and the dentist said, And I said, well, why aren't my gums pink like other people? And the dentist said, well, the reason your gums aren't pink is because your gums are infected. That's why you have brown gums. So for years until I was an adult, I used to brush my teeth and my gums till they bled, trying to brush the brown off my gums, only to discover that the reason my gums were brown was because of the pigmentation of my skin. But I thought it was because I was infected. So for years, I brushed my teeth and I was ashamed to smile because I thought I was infected. Come on. So I was tricked into believing a lie, and I bled as a result because I didn't have the knowledge. But God said, wait a minute, Kirk, hold up. First of all, my son, Jesus Christ, for all intents and purposes, he was a mistake. Because he was not born by natural means or the means in which we used to, or how we know a child is to be born. It requires intercourse between a man and a woman, right? So, and then that's how the conception happens. But Jesus had an immaculate conception. So he said, yeah, you were born in a very non-traditional, unexpected, undesirable way, but you're here. So let me tell you exactly why you exist. Uh-oh. So stop looking for family and people to affirm you. Stop researching and trying to find Ancestry.com or 23andMe.com. Stop looking for, I'm your answer, God said. They didn't name you, I did. Y'all remember Different Strokes? And Gary Cohen used to say, what you talking about, Willis? Because you know you can't say that without sticking your lips out. He said, I named you. I said, what you talking about, Willis? He said, first of all, the name Kirk means church. What? Latin, Kirk means church. Wow. Dang. Wow, God, but he wasn't finished. And he said, Smith is a builder. So if you put your name together, what is it? Build my church. Not the church that people think, church buildings and mega ministries and pastors making $250,000 a year or $1 million a year and taking people's money and telling them they better give them 10% or they're going to hell or they're going to be cursed and all that, and walking around like a celebrity, like you bigger than people out in the crowd, and you preaching and people, you tell them to give the church all their money, they're broke, they're poor, while you walk around rich in nice cars and they suffer, and you build your wealth off the backs of people based on fear of going to hell and some kind of spiritual conviction and playing games and all these big titles. And listen, I used to be a pastor. I ain't really big on, Pastor Kirk. I ain't really big on all that stuff, them titles. You know what I mean? But they walk around, got all these positions and all this stuff. Nah, that ain't the church God got me into. He's saying build my church. Man, my church ain't got to do with no buildings or titles or these different ministries. My church is people getting into Jesus Christ and making him larger. He said, I called you to do that. So first of all, let's eradicate the thought and perish the thought that somehow you're a mistake, because you're not. And I called you from day one. And as a little boy, you didn't fully understand why you used to drift. And when you were getting beat up, or when you wanted to kill yourself, or when your stepfather, who was with y'all for a little while, when he used to get drunk and tear the house apart and throw everything. Some of y'all don't know, but back in the day, we had these things called record players. And the most important piece of any record player was the needle. Right? The needle. And the needle, so my stepfather used to break the needle just so we wouldn't be able to listen to music. That's how the kind of person he was. And that's what he used to do to us. And torture us and eat all the cereal and all this stuff. It's horrible. Right? And I remember I used to take my mind in other places and dream I was in other places and I was a different person. And I used to imagine things, and that's how I got away from the pain. So I used to dream while it hurts. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. When you're in pain, you dream and think about other things. When you're suffering, you think about other things. They didn't completely heal me, but it helped me get through. And God told me from day one, son, my hand has been on you. You matter to me from the time you came out of that womb. I could care less about which means in which you were conceived. That's beside the point. You have a purpose, and I called you to do something. And either people are going to get with you or not. But whether people are with you or not, that does not change nor nullify the calling I have on your life. So what I've called you to do, son, in your life is much larger than your job, larger than your family, larger than a bank account, larger than anything. The calling of God is larger than you. You're no longer on your own agenda, but you're on my agenda, which is a far greater agenda, which is an eternal agenda. It's an agenda with way more implications than your finite mind can imagine and think. So when I learned that, I began to recognize that Kirk Ray Smith, means something. I began to recognize that the calling on my life is far greater. It can never be limited. No man can marginalize or set parameters for what God has called me to do. My livelihood, my sustainability will never ever be predicated on a job. Never ever is it predicated on any man or person or thing or circumstance or situation. But my livelihood, my sustainability is 100% predicated on God. And he said, Kirk, get this in your mind. It's not by might nor by power, but only by my spirit. So whatever you have, whoever you are, whatever you achieve, it's because of me. And no man can take credit for that. So don't worry, son, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, no matter what they try. New levels, new devils. The higher you go, you're going to get more haters. If you got 10 haters in May, triple it by September. Trust me and not them. And once I realized that, I became liberated and it changed everything. No offense to anybody. But I don't wake up every day feeling as if my survival is predicated on a person or a group. Never, ever. It's not how it works. The agenda is far too long and far too massive and extensive to be limited by a zip code, a geographic location, a job or a company or organization. No. God's larger than that. Because wherever I go, whatever I do, I'm Kirk Ray Smith. And my value and abilities transcend geographic locations. I'm going to be Kirk Ray Smith wherever I go and whatever capacity I'm doing it in. I'm me, man. Man, you know how long it took me to get to that point? Oh my God, man. It took me a long time to get to that point. Depression, suicidal thoughts, oppression, giving up, isolation. I go on and on through the years. Close to death a couple times. Some of y'all don't know. I almost lost my wife. Some of y'all don't even know that. Years ago. Y'all don't even know, man. Do you know what it's like to come home and every 20 plus something days, you got an eviction notice on your door? Do you know what it's like to look at your kids and know you can't pay for a single thing for them for Christmas? You can't buy them not one gift. Do you know what it's like to be in a church full of people who so-called love the Lord, but they doubt you and they don't have your best interest in heart and they want to hurt you and marginalize you even in the church? This happened to me more than once. People who look down through their nose at you as if they're better than you are because they have a little bit more education, a little bit more money or whatever, and they look down at you. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And they think they're better, but somehow but God has anointed them. And it's confusing, isn't it? And you get frustrated. And I can remember I had 2 cars repossessed. I mean, Who gets 2 cars repossessed? And I'm talking about 2 totally separate times. So after my first repossession, we had no credit. Vanessa knows what I'm talking about. So, and I know I got to close here in a second, guys. Humor me just for a little bit. So, when the repo man came to the house, to the apartment, to take the first car, I'm like, man, I'm cool. God got this, man. We're gonna be all right. Take this car, man. Because God gonna make a way. We're gonna have transportation. So I remember, so Vanessa, she was just crying. She was just bawling. And I think this is when we had just had Cortez. So it was just me, her, Lil Kirk, and Cortez, yeah. So he came to get the car. So I asked him, I said, well, look, can I at least get my stuff out of the car? This is true story. He said, yeah, you can get the stuff out. It was a Ford Tempo. I'll never forget. It was a red Ford Tempo. Some of y'all remember those cars. 4-door car. So I'm taking the stuff out the trunk. Glove box. I'm bringing the stuff out. Now, Vanessa's at the door, and she's just crying, right? And y'all know Vanessa, she's so sweet. She's so tender, but she's so strong. But this particular thing just got to her because she didn't know how we were going to get around because there was no buses around. So anyway, I'm strong. I'm anointed. But then when I went to take the last thing out the car, this what broke me. When I went and took my son's, Cortez, his car seat out the car. His car seat. Because Kirk had one, but then Cortez had one because he was a lot smaller. It was a different type. When I went to take his car seat out the car, I was devastated. Oh, man, I was like, man, I failed, man, life. I failed my wife. She don't deserve this. My kids, she should just leave me. Vanessa should just pack up and go back to Canada. We was in Virginia at the time. So now, my girl Candace Clark, hopefully she watched the Church Express. I know her and her husband, my boy June, down in Louisiana. I know they watch the Express. They pick it up eventually. So Candace, I hope if you're not watching now, you will at some point. June, if you watch me on YouTube, or if not, I hope you guys pick it up at some point. So I don't even know if y'all knew this. And they were like our best friends in Virginia, by the way. June and Candace Clark. So anyway, when I brought I was bawling, man. I was crying. So I couldn't encourage Vanessa because I'm a mess. The guy took the car away and we just looked out the window. It was sad, man. It was really sad. So here I am with these 2 little babies, little boys, my wife, and no transportation. And June actually gave me a bunch of rides, man. I'll never forget that, man. I appreciate it, brother. So then I went to an auction. I saved up $1,500. Man, boy, oh boy. Your boy Kirk Ray Smith had $1,500 large. $1,500, man. I ain't never seen that much money in my life. Boy, oh boy, but went to that auction. And I remember I was at the auction. I was so nervous, guys. And I got me I forget the year, but it was a Peugeot. And I think Peugeot, I don't know if it was German or not. I think it might have been German. But anyway, so I got this Peugeot. Man, it was faded on the top. The paint was faded on the top and on the hood, but it had this nice little sunroof, and I was all happy, man. Stick shift. And I remember getting that car, and I was driving home nervous. And I was nervous because I was scared it might break down. We had such bad luck. Car gonna break down. But I was excited because I couldn't wait to pull up so my wife can see that her husband did it. And see, one thing you know about Vanessa, she's always been very, very grateful and appreciative and supportive of me. She's always supported me. And so she was like, and so now here's the enemy. Now his plan is to break you down, right? And because I believe we were sad, man. We were really down. We thought God didn't care about. It was horrible. So I finally get home with this car. So she's all excited. Oh, babe, then if y'all know Vanessa, she look at the car. It's a nice car, but it's a stick shift, My baby ain't never changed, man. She has been the same for years. And she was happy. She was like, it's a stick shift. I ain't gonna drive it. So I kept trying to show her. It got a sunroof and all this. It got sound system, so it was funny. Leather seats. We had leather seats, I think, one time before. We had leather seats. So we go to church. So let me tell you what they said at church. And I'm going to wrap this up right here because I'm going to tell you how so-called people that walk with God, how they try to trick you and they don't care about you. A lot of these folks. Man, get around people that really care about you, man. Listen, some of these people just fake. But anyway, we get to church. And the preacher said this. He said that if you have a used car, it's not from God. Okay. He said that a used car is not from God. Now, y'all, I just told y'all what we went through. We had no transportation. And we ended up with a car that was used, that we owned, that we could afford, that ended up lasting us for years, by the way. And I finally felt like a man, but then this preacher tells me if it's used, it ain't from God. Now see, if I was the type to listen to that stuff, and I believed that stuff, then I would have been depressed. But I was thankful for God. And I made this promise to my wife. As long as I have the power and the ability, you will never, ever, ever, number one, be able to get a car repossessed or be in some old car ever again because of how you treated me during those times when we had nothing. We had cars worse than that. And by the grace of God, I've been able to keep that promise. You don't believe me? Ask Vanessa. So I'm going to wrap this up. So the enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy. He want to take me out. He want to take you out. He want to break you down. He want to break me down. He want to render me useless and null and void. He want to render you useless and null and void. But let me tell you something, folks. The devil is a liar. And you can be whatever you want to be. You can achieve whatever. Listen, we all make mistakes. Get up off the mat. Stand up. Square up your shoulders. Get your chin up. Get your back straight. Open your eyes and keep it moving. Because you can overcome all of that stuff. Many are the trials of the righteous, but we overcome all of them. That you will keep going and you can be whatever you want to be. The devil is a liar. His dark mission is to steal, kill, and destroy. His God mission is this. Is to give you, to keep you strong, to keep you steady, to keep you secure, and make you sure. Let me say that one more time. God wants to keep us strong, steady, secure, and sure. He wants us to always know he's going to take care of us, man. No failure, no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. I'm blessed going in, blessed coming out, head not the tail, and the front not the back. I'll succeed, I don't fail. It might take a while, but I'm going to get there. It might take a while, but you're going to get there. So no matter how people try to set you up, that's all right. Keep it moving. Listen, you ain't going to know it all in this life. But when you go before God, you don't have to square up on all the details. So God bless you all. Don't worry about that dark mission. God is with you every step of the way. Trust him and see what happens. Commit your way to him. Trust in him and he will bring it, whatever it is, to pass. 1.